left. So this is the kind of game we're going to have. A
hard miss. O'Neal comes out of it.
How are you feeling?
I've been better. You can hear it in my voice. Been better.
When did this kind of start?
Friday.
Right.
When I go out and play, especially when I'm sick or I'm hurt, I try not to think about the injury or my sickness. I try to think about the job that I have to do. And sometimes that helps my concentration level. And I play a lot better. I don't know why. I wish I could be sick every day.
He averaged 20 points a game at the age of 40 on one leg because his knee was messed up, and he played 82 games at the age of 40 on one leg and played all 82 games. So, I mean, I just tell you who he is.
That's crazy.
82 games.
When it comes to the modern day NBA, the term GOAT gets tossed around way too lightly. And nowadays, you'll say someone like Steph Curry, he's the GOAT shooter. Dennis Rodman, the GOAT rebounder. And someone like Magic, the GOAT passer. I'd say for the most part, the majority of fans of those three players are the GOAT at that specific skill. And I think one category gets overlooked tremendously is the GOAT of excuses. And like those prior picks, this one is pretty easy.
And I continue to tell you guys we were undermanned. Pretty much played the last 3 games with a broken hand, so that's what it is.
It's hard to say who we are, what we can be, because we have yet to be whole.
I can't watch anymore.
So stopping LeBron right there, the majority of times the excuses, they actually come in the postseason. I had a sore hamstring, I got cramps, the refs, they stunk, and the AC wasn't exactly 75 degrees. Most of the times LeBron's excuses, they come in the postseason or the finals following a loss. This time LeBron James, year 22, his excuses are coming in Game 4. As now all of a sudden what we're getting is the I'm sick excuse.
Look, that gun and caught a sniffle.
Now, when it comes to LeBron's sickness, his illness, look, he could actually be sick. We're all human. Everyone gets sick sometimes. But for LeBron James, like a lot of excuses, this one has very peculiar timing. As according to LeBron himself, dating back to last Friday, he was also sick versus the Kings when he had a fantastic game. After that great game versus the Kings, a masterful fourth quarter, LeBron after the game made no mention of his sickness, made no excuse, said nothing about it. But all of a sudden after game versus the Suns, had an 11-point dud, 21% shooting. Now all of a sudden LeBron James is on death's door.
I don't believe you.
That right there for a lot of fans is the problem with LeBron James. If you're sick one night, play fantastic, don't mention it. Don't come back the next night, play awful, and then mention it. Could he have been sick both games? He could have. But that sickness conveniently wasn't mentioned till after his bad game versus the Suns. All I'm saying for LeBron James, just take one minor L without an excuse, a caveat, or pointing the finger at someone else besides yourself. And looking back at past NBA eras, guys all the time, they played sick, they played injured, they played through broken legs. See Kevin McHale. Back in the day, playing through sickness and injury was kind of a part of the job. Nowadays, being sick, being banged up, is kind of a get out of jail free card for you playing awful on the court. And here's my stance. If you're sick, you're hurt, you actually physically can't play, then you probably should sit out. But if you're on the court, you can walk, you can shoot, you're in between those lines. I expect you to play well, and up to standard.
Everybody talks about your injuries but you. Doug Collins mentioned nobody has been more mentally tough in this game than you are. How do you put mind over injury and over body?
It's not about excuses. You got a job to do. You got to go out there and do it. You have to be effective or find a way to be effective and not make excuses, but just man up and play.
Like, I don't know if you remember, he had to keep getting his knee drained, but he got it drained a whole lot more than they reported it. So when they said he had to do it once a week, he was doing it 3 times a week. After the game, it would just swell up, right? So he would put it in and take it out, and it was just this black tar goo stuff that would come out. It looked awful.
And like you saw in that opening Tyronn Lue, who played alongside MJ, this guy said Jordan, age 40, playing all 82 games. It was spectacular. The stuff Jordan went through to play the game of basketball, it is legendary. Getting his knee drained, getting shots, therapy. This guy had to play at age 40, but doing everything possible to suit up every single night. And here's the thing, 20 years later, nobody cares that Jordan played through injury, as like everything, the details, they do fade with time. And looking at Jordan's raw numbers age 40, the back half of the season with the Wizards, I mean, this guy's overall numbers were still very, very impressive playing through those injuries. 23 points, 7 boards, 4 assists on 45% shooting. During that 35-game stretch, Jordan ranked 10th in the NBA in scoring. Had 2 40-point games, including 43 versus the Nets, where he shot 60% from the field. In all of NBA history, only one player ever, at age 40, has dropped 40 points. And that still is Michael Jordan till this very day. And you might say, why am I talking Wizards Jordan? Well, it's quite simple. LeBron James, unprompted out of nowhere, promised the fans he's going to play all 82 games if he's healthy and not sick.
Yeah. That's not gonna happen.
So look, do I believe LeBron James? Obviously I don't. This guy in 20 odd years has played all 82 games only one time ever. And now all of a sudden approaching age 40, do I think he's gonna play all 82? I'm highly skeptical. But even LeBron's promise to play all 82 games, it comes with a caveat and an asterisk. You know, I'll play all the games if I'm healthy, not sick, and not banged up ever so slightly. Even making this minor promise out of nowhere, LeBron, per usual, gives himself an escape route if he fails and comes up short. And one more thing I do have to speak on is LeBron's 10-point streak versus the Suns was barely kept alive. And this streak by ESPN, I mean, it gets promoted, propped up as the greatest achievement in world history. And the funny thing is, this streak isn't even a real legit streak.
In the NBA, perhaps the most impressive streak is Michael Jordan's record of scoring in double figures in 866 straight games. More than 11 years and 867 games later, LeBron has passed Jordan, the ultimate benchmark of consistency.
So you see ESPN right there, highly, highly deceptive. As the so-called 10-point streak, what does it not include? Of course, the postseason where it matters most. If you're going to talk an actual streak, consecutive streak, games played, 10 points scored, LeBron's streak ended numerous times. And like you saw ESPN in that short clip, they didn't mention once this streak is only regular season. That's highly, highly deceptive and misleading. As looking at Jordan, his career, the actual streak belongs to him at over 1,000 games. If this streak is so important, so monumental, just such a big accomplishment, why the playoffs not included?
I don't know.
And like I said earlier, when it comes to streaks of 10-point games, what's more impressive, the playoffs or the regular season? To me, it is playoffs undoubtedly. And looking at the postseason, the longest 10-point streaks, here's the leaders all time. Michael Jordan, first. Kobe, second. Durant, third. Malone, fourth. Shaq, fifth. Bird, sixth. And LeBron, 7th. If you ask me which one's more impressive, the playoff streak versus regular season streak, I take the playoff one every day. Because in the postseason, who are you playing? The best teams, the best defenses, the best overall competition. And going more in depth for 1 second, looking at Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron, all these guys in varying degrees are great playoff performers. But of course, there are levels to it. And looking at games 10 points or fewer in the playoffs, Michael Jordan, his career, had 0 such games. Kobe as a starter only did it twice. The first one, Game 2 2000 versus the Pacers, the NBA Finals, he got hurt, only played 8 minutes. That's kind of an asterisk. Now the second one, it is legit. Game 5 the same series, did not score 10 points. Now looking at LeBron James in his career, 2014 versus the Pacers, dropped 7. Versus Dallas 2011, scored 8. 2020 versus the Blazers, scored 10. 07 versus the Pistons, also 10. Think about that, LeBron James in 3 different stops has scored 10 points or fewer in the postseason. And looking at those 4 games, 2 of them were at LeBron's apex, 2011 and 2014. 07, 2020, I'd say pre-prime and post-prime. For those Miami years, that is damning.
Oldest son comes to me, he say, 7 points in 5 fouls, and he just walked away.
So that right there is the end of the video, and here's one last thing. Michael Jordan's 10-point streak officially ended in 2001. The game that ended, Jordan only had 6 points. In the fourth quarter, could he have stat padded gotten 4 more points? Of course he could, but he didn't. Now here's the cool part. Jordan that game, of course, didn't crack double digits for the first time since 1986. The next 2 games for the Wizards scored 51 and 45.
That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.